Hi everyone, this is Florian Farke from Ruhr University Bochum and David Balash from the George Washington University presenting our paper, Are Privacy Dashboards Good for End Users? Evaluating user perceptions and reactions to Google's My Activity.
There is a world of personal data collected about users of online apps, services, and websites. With the advent of privacy regulations such as GDPR, which require greater data transparency, companies began providing users access to their collected personal data either through data downloads or interactive web pages such as privacy dashboards. Privacy dashboards attempt to help users understand how their data is used and inform their future sharing decisions. Because of GDPR and the growing prominence of data access, we were motivated to research privacy dashboards to determine if they are good for the end user.
Google provides the user of its products and services with a privacy dashboard called Google My Activity. Google introduced My Activity in 2016 and defines it as a central place to view and manage activities such as searches you've done, websites you've visited, and videos you've watched. Depending on how and what Google products you use, My Activity provides a more or less comprehensive picture of your digital routine, ranging from what apps you've started on your Android devices, over what websites you've visited while using Chrome, to what places you've visited or looked up using Google Maps. Each activity consists of a set of metadata, like a timestamp, type of Google product, and a descriptive label, often containing an URL pointing to the Google service or website in question. Privacy dashboards, such as Google My Activity, have been extensively explored in the literature, especially whether they help users to understand what data is collected. However, there is little research on the influence of privacy dashboards on the perceived concerns or benefits of users. To fill this gap, we conducted a study with Google users to answer the following research questions. First, how does the My Activity dashboard affect users' concerns about and perceived benefit of Google's data collection? Second, what are users' awareness and understanding of Google's data collection? And third, what settings and behaviors would users change due to exposure to My Activity?
Our study design consists of 2 online surveys. To ensure that participants had an active Google account, we used a screening survey. In the screening survey, we asked participants if they have a Gmail account, the age of the account, and what Google products they use and how often they use them. Recruitment was done via Prolific during the month of October 2020, and we used purposive sampling to balance recruitment between 5 age ranges. Screening survey participants who met our inclusion criteria were then invited to participate in the main study. For the main study, we created a custom browser extension that participants installed in order to complete the survey. The browser extension is used to display participants' Google activities from their My Activity dashboard directly in the survey so we could ask questions about these activities. The main study followed a pre- and post-intervention study design. The main study consists of 3 stages. In the pre-exposure stage, after installing our custom browser extension, participants answered questions regarding their level of concern and benefit from Google's collection of their online activities. As a part of the intervention stage, participants were directed to explore their My Activity dashboard and then to describe their immediate reactions. Next, the browser extension randomly selected and displayed 3 recent activities, 3 3-month-old activities, and 3 18-month-old activities, each selected from Google Search, YouTube, and Google Maps. Then we had participants report their awareness and ability to recall each of the 9 activities. In the post-exposure stage, participants reflected on their experience and on the appropriateness of the data collection, and what behavior changes they would likely implement after learning about My Activity. To determine if there was a post-exposure change, participants again answered questions regarding their level of concern and benefit from Google's collection of their online activities. We will now take a look at some of our key results from the main study. Immediately after interacting with their Google My Activity dashboard and seeing firsthand the data that Google collects about them, we asked participants to describe their reactions. Participant 23 shared, "I'm surprised at how much data Google collects, beside its own sites. This sentiment of surprise about the amount of data collected was the most common response. Another common theme was participants who became aware that there were more types of data collected than they had expected. For example, participant 113 discovered that the data collected by Google includes activities from their Android phone. And participant 45 found out that URLs entered into their Chrome browser bar are also collected.
Even though participants were surprised, we found a significant decrease in the level of concern before and after visiting my activity. 40% of the participants rated their level of concern lower at the end of the study as at the beginning, while only 15% of them indicate higher concern than before. On the other hand, 29% of the participants rated the perceived benefit from Google's data collection better after seeing my activity than before. Only 10% of them decreased their initial rating. However, the majority doesn't change their rating. Especially people with a high or medium initial level of concern tend to change their rating after seeing my activity. This result was kind of surprising to us, as we expected the opposite, that people with an initial high level of concern stay on a high concern level.
Participant 146 had reduced concern after exposure to the My Activity dashboard. When asked to explain the pre-exposure concern, 146 responded, "I am concerned about any potentially private information getting to the wrong people." But after seeing their collected data, participant 146 was less worried about the information, describing it as pretty boring. Common concerns among participants include the amount of data collected, the sensitivity of the information, and data being misused or released.
When we looked into the perceived benefit in more detail, we see that participants with a low or medium initial rating tend to rate the perceived benefit higher at the end of the study. However, most participants started with a sometimes rating and didn't change their rating, which could indicate that the perceived benefit is hard to grasp for them.
Participant 70 reported an increase in benefit frequency after exposure. When asked to explain the pre-exposure benefit frequency, 70 noted, "I really haven't noticed too many tangible benefits to Google's data collection." But after seeing the collected data, participant 70 was reminded of how their YouTube history and Google News recommendations are beneficial. Common benefit themes include personalization, better recommendations, and improved search results, as well as the availability of usage history.
We asked the participants whether they think that my activity helps them to better understand what data Google collects about them. 76% of the participants either agree or strongly agree to have a better understanding after seeing my activity. The results shows that my activity helps users to realize what data is collected and makes the data collection more transparent. This better understanding is also in line with prior research on privacy dashboards. However, the finding does not imply that people better understand for what purpose the data is collected and what are the implications on their privacy. To estimate if my activity has an impact on the participants' behavior, they ask them 3 questions. First, if they plan to change any settings after the study. Second, whether they will want to use my activity to review or delete activities in the future. And third, if they even plan to use Google products differently. For all the 3 questions, the majority, ranging from 63% to 75%, had no intention or were unsure whether they changed settings or behaviors after the study. Especially for the question about using Google products differently, almost 50% of the participants responded with no.
The following are some key takeaways from our study. We found that post-exposure, participants reported higher benefit and lower concern. This could be accounted for by an increased awareness of the data collection and the sense of being in control of that collection with access to the history of activities. This is in line with the study by Snorf et al. This may especially be the case in our study, as 75% agreed that my activity helps them to better understand Google's data collection. The notion of information flow controls is an important factor in privacy perception. Interactions with my activity increase the subjective and also objective control over collected data, reducing concern in relation to an original feeling of lack of control and an inability to restrict data. My Activity allows users many choices, but it may be difficult for users to make informed decisions about individual activities as the impact of keeping or deleting individual items is opaque to the user. This lack of additional information can inhibit clear decision-making as detailed in the study by Rao et al. A study by Rader et al. Showed that providing more insight into inferences could be beneficial, as users tend to relate inferences with their past activities. Expanding options for managing data collection, either based on inferences or other metrics, would better assist users in making clearer choices in managing their activity data.
Dashboards like My Activity put significant pressure on users to continuously manage the data that is collected about them. Besides that, Google is one service provider among many, and people may have accounts at many platforms. As new data is collected all the time, and users have to review activities across multiple accounts or platforms, such management does not scale, and users are unlikely to take advantage of these controls. Instead of having many privacy dashboards for many services, one could imagine a service bundling all the different privacy dashboards. However, this only shifts the problem to another place, because such an umbrella service also needs to find the balance between showing the relevant information and not overwhelming the user to provide better controls and transparency of the collected data. Lastly, most participants of our study did not see the need to change their settings or behavior to improve their privacy. In the qualitative data of our study, we found that participants trusted Google to respect their privacy and also that they don't see any risk having all that data collected. My Activity provides little information about the purpose for which the collected data is used and also no information about potential privacy risks. So people are simply not aware of potential risks. This ends our presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us or ask us at the live Q&A at USENIX 2021.